All right, so AI this week, huh? Looks like we've got a lot to unpack, from AI assistants popping up everywhere to Hollywood experimenting with, like, AI actors. Wild stuff.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see AI becoming, not just this far off thing, but something that's actually like integrating into our daily lives.
Yeah.
This past week alone, we saw companies like Amazon and Google all rolling out these new AI tools that are supposed to make our lives easier. At least that's what they're saying.
Yeah, it's like every tech company suddenly woke up and thought, we need an AI assistant.
Right.
Like Amazon's Project Amelia, which is for sellers, but honestly, it kind of just sounds like, a chatbot with a fancy new name.
Right. Makes you wonder if it's really like true innovation or just, clever marketing.
Mm.
But name aside, I think the biggest takeaway is just the sheer scale of this push. We're talking billions of dollars being invested to make AI accessible to everyone. Imagine a world where you don't have to deal with those frustrating customer service calls anymore, and instead you've got an AI assistant that can instantly resolve any issues, or, even just handle all your daily tasks so you have more free time.
That sounds amazing in theory, but I can't help but think, what happens to all those customer service jobs if AI takes over? And, on a more personal level, am I really ready to let an AI manage like every aspect of my life?
Those are definitely valid concerns, and they highlight just how complex these questions are becoming as AI gets more advanced. It's not just about convenience anymore. It's about the potential impact on jobs, on privacy, even on our own sense of agency.
It's a lot to unpack, for sure, and we're just getting started. Speaking of AI shaking things up, what do you make of those Hollywood studios jumping on board the AI train? Like Lionsgate is actually partnering with Runway to create AI video tools that are trained on their whole movie library.
That's a fascinating development. Imagine what filmmakers could do with that. Generate complex scenes, maybe even entire films, just from specific prompts. It has the potential to totally change how movies are made.
It's pretty mind-blowing, but also a little unnerving, especially since California just passed that law banning AI from replacing actors without consent. I mean, what happens when AI can create performances that are indistinguishable from real actors?
Right, it's a valid concern. This technology could revolutionize filmmaking, but it also raises all sorts of ethical questions.
Yeah.
Who owns the copyright to AI-generated content? How do we protect the livelihoods of actors and artists when AI can basically replicate their work so convincingly? These are discussions we need to have now before this technology gets even more advanced.
It really, a lot to think about. On the one hand, it's exciting to imagine all the creative possibilities this technology unlocks, but it's also a reminder that we need to approach AI with, cautious optimism. We can't ignore the potential benefits, but we also can't ignore the ethical implications. And speaking of AI pushing boundaries, did you see that OpenAI might be ditching its whole nonprofit status? Apparently, they're shooting for a valuation of like $150 billion. Crazy.
Yeah, it's a pretty bold move, but I guess it just shows how intense the competition is. Like everyone's vying for a piece of the AI pie, and OpenAI needs massive resources to keep up with Google and Microsoft.
I get that, but didn't OpenAI start with this whole mission of like making sure AI benefits humanity? It seems kind of ironic that they might become this for-profit powerhouse.
It definitely is a shift from their original vision, huh?
Hmm.
I think it just goes to show how difficult it is to balance these big ethical ideals with the realities of developing cutting-edge AI. I mean, the resources you need to computing power, data, talent, all of it. It costs a fortune.
So it's a classic case of like money talks.
Yeah, in a way. This move seems to suggest that attracting investors and securing resources is the priority now. The question is, what compromises will they have to make along the way?
It makes you wonder. And speaking of unpredictable AI, I read that OpenAI is saying that whole thing with ChatGPT messaging users first, that was actually a bug, not a feature. It's like even the companies building these AI tools, they're still figuring things out on the fly?
Totally. It just shows the unpredictable nature of AI. You know what I mean? Even with the best intentions and some of the brightest minds working on it, there are always going to be unexpected outcomes.
Right.
It's a good reminder that we need to be cautious, but also adaptable because this stuff is evolving so quickly.
Yeah, no kidding. And speaking of challenges, did you hear that Microsoft might power its AI ambitions with wait for it, a revived 3 Mile Island reactor?
I did hear about that. It sounds kind of crazy, right? But it really highlights a crucial aspect of AI that a lot of people don't consider: the massive energy consumption.
Hmm.
To train and run these complex AI models, you need an insane amount of computational power, which translates to a huge environmental footprint.
So it's not just about if AI can do amazing things, but also about the cost, not just in dollars, but in actual energy and the environmental impact.
Exactly. As AI becomes more sophisticated and we start using it for more and more, that environmental impact is only going to become more significant. We need to start thinking about where that energy is coming from. What are the long-term costs to the environment?
That's a really good point. And, while we're on the topic of AI sneaking into our lives in ways we don't expect, we can't forget about the kids. I read about this new Poe AI teddy bear that tells kids, like, new bedtime stories every night. It's kind of creepy, right?
Yeah, it is interesting to see how fast AI is showing up in everyday things, even stuff for kids.
I can't help but wonder, what does that mean for them growing up with AI as this constant presence? I mean, it's not some far off thing anymore. It's becoming part of their daily lives.
That's the big question, isn't it? What are the long-term implications of kids growing up with this technology all around them?
Huh?
How will it affect their social skills
Yeah.
or the creativity,
Hmm.
the way they see the world? This is all so new, It's uncharted territory.
It's definitely both exciting and a little bit scary. But before our heads explode from all this AI talk, how about something a little more fun, like AI art?
Ah, yes. Another area where AI is blowing up. Actually, Runway, remember, the company working with Lionsgate. Well, they just launched their Gen 3 Alpha Turbo API. Basically, it gives developers access to these incredibly powerful video generation tools.
So anyone who knows a little bit of coding can potentially create their own AI-powered videos. That's
Yeah.
wild.
Pretty much. And that's a game changer, right? We're talking about technology that was once limited to, like, big studios and research labs that's now in the hands of individual creators. We could see an explosion of AI-generated content in the next few years. It's exciting, but also a little daunting.
Yeah, for sure. But earlier we were talking about the ethical concerns around AI replacing artists and actors. Does this new technology make those concerns even more urgent?
It definitely adds another layer to the discussion. As AI tools become more powerful and easier to use, it's crucial that we have these conversations about ethical use, copyright issues, and the potential for misuse. We need to be proactive about addressing these challenges now before they become even bigger problems.
I agree. Transparency and education are key. Speaking of which, it's good to see that Google's working on a way to, identify AI-generated images in search results. With all this talk of AI-generated content, that seems really important, don't you think?
Absolutely. As AI image generators get better, it's getting harder and harder to tell the difference between a real photo and one made by an algorithm. This has huge implications for how we consume information and what we believe to be true.
Like they say, seeing is no longer believing.
Exactly. So even though it's not perfect, what Google's doing with flagging AI-generated images is a step in the right direction. It's about giving users the tools they need to make informed decisions about the content they're consuming.
Right. It all comes back to being informed. And speaking of big tech companies, what about Apple? They've been awfully quiet about AI this week, haven't they? Compared to all the other announcements, I mean.
Yeah, it's interesting. While other companies are rushing to roll out AI features, Apple seems to be taking a much more cautious approach.
Hmm.
They're focusing more on privacy and a carefully curated user experience, even if it means people think they're falling behind in the AI race.
So they're banking on their reputation for quality and security then.
Seems like it. Think about their new iPhone launch this week. They were hyping up their AI features, but they're not actually ready yet. They said they'll roll them out gradually in the next few months.
That feels risky in such a fast-moving industry.
It is a gamble, for sure. Time will tell if it pays off for them. I'll be curious to see if they can stick to their guns as the pressure to innovate only intensifies.
It's like everyone's playing this high-stakes poker game and nobody wants to show their cards.
Exactly. And in this game, the stakes are huge. We're not just talking about profits or who has the most market share. We're talking about shaping the future of how we live our lives, how we work, how we interact with the world. It's a lot bigger than just tech.
It really does feel like watching a tech arms race in real time,
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Speaking of big moves, though, did you catch that thing about Qualcomm maybe buying Intel?
Wait, Qualcomm? I thought they were all about, smartphone chips and stuff. Why would they want Intel? They're all about PCs and servers, right?
Right, but it's all about strategy in the AI game. Qualcomm's thinking ahead, you see. They see a future where AI is a big part of our mobile devices, and they want to be the ones supplying the power behind it. Makes sense if you
Yep.
think about it.
So they're playing the long game, trying to be the go-to for AI chips everywhere, from our phones to the cloud.
Exactly. And don't forget, Intel's got those chip factories here in the US, right?
Yeah.
Getting those could be huge for Qualcomm.
Huh. So this whole thing, it's about way more than just the tech itself then. We're talking about, like, economic influence, national interests, the whole nine yards.
Exactly. It just shows you how AI is changing everything, even the stuff you might not expect. This isn't just a tech industry story anymore. It's affecting all of us. It's very wild when they think about it.
It really is a lot. But before we get too deep into all that, there's one more thing I wanted to mention. It seems like Jony Ive, you know, the Apple design guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's getting into AI, too.
Oh, wow. Really? The guy behind the iPhone, messing around with AI. Now, that's interesting. And he teamed up with OpenAI CEO, Sam Altman, of all people, huh?
Not just that, they're supposedly working out of these buildings I've been buying up in San Francisco, like on the down low. It's like a secret AI hideout or something.
Yeah. It does kind of sound like that, doesn't it? There's not much information out there, but rumor has it they're aiming to create something even more groundbreaking than the iPhone while avoiding any negative social impact. Ambitious, to say the least.
That's putting it mildly. The iPhone, it practically changed everything. How do you top that?
Honestly, I have no idea. But that's what's so exciting. Both Ive and Altman are known for thinking big and, really understanding what people want before they even do. I'm really curious to see what they come up with.
Me too. Guess we'll just have to wait and see, huh? But it's pretty clear this whole AI thing isn't slowing down anytime soon. If anything, it's just getting started.
No kidding. This past week alone has been nuts. So many big announcements, partnerships, new tech. It's hard to keep up.
Mhm.
But that's why we do this deep dive, right?
Right.
Help people make sense of it all.
Exactly. We cut through all the noise and hype, figure out what's actually important, and ask the tough questions that no one else is asking. What does this mean for us, for our lives, our world, our future? It's a lot, but someone's got to do it.
Right. We can't just ignore it. It's about being informed, being aware of the potential benefits and the risks, and making sure we're using this technology for good.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, to everyone listening, stay curious, keep asking questions, and don't be afraid to dive deep into the world of AI. It's changing faster than ever, and it's up to all of us to shape its future.
Well said.
And on that note, until next time, stay curious.